Hello everyone, welcome to our second lesson for learning Gothic language, 𐌻𐌰𐌹𐌺����, lesson 2. So in our last lesson, we have learned how to say hello using the verb 𝌲𐿐𐶆. So for example, 𝌲𐿐𝐶𝐃, I say hello to you, or hello to you, one person. 𝌲𐿐𝐴𝐼ncrease, to two people. 𝌲𐿐𝐼𝐼𝐹, to three or more people. Now there's another verb that we can use to say hello to someone, and that verb is 𝐻𝐿𝐄𝐹𝐵𝐵𝐵. So instead of saying 𝌲𐿐𝐶𝐃, we can say 𝐻𝐿𝐄𝐹𝐵𝐵𝐵. Instead of saying 𝌲𐐿𝐴𝐼ncrease, we can say 𝐻𝐿𝐄𝐹𝐵𝐵𝐵. Instead of saying 𝌲𐐿𝐴𝐼𝐹, 𝐻𝐿𝐄𝐹𝐵𝐵𝐵. Now you may have noticed that for the verb 𝌲�ian, the pronoun 𝐿𝑢k is used for the second person singular, but for 𝐻𝐿𝐄𝐹𝐵𝐵𝐵, 𝐿𝑢s is used. Now this isn't a typo, this isn't a mistake. In fact, this is due to the personal pronouns being in different cases. So for the verb 𝌲�ian, the accusative case is used, and for the verb 𝐻𝐿𝐄𝐹𝐵𝐵𝐵, the dative case is used. We shall look at that in a moment. So first, let's look at the conjugation for the present tense for the verb 𝐻𝐿𝐄𝐹𝐵𝐵𝐵. Now the verb 𝐻𝐿𝐄𝐹𝐵𝐵𝐵, apart from meaning to greet, can also mean to bid farewell. So basically, apart from using this verb to say hello, we can also use this verb to say goodbye to someone. Here are the conjugations. Ik 𝐻𝐿𝐄𝐹𝐵𝐵𝐵, thu 𝐻𝐻𝐿𝐄𝐹𝐵𝐵𝐵, is si ita 𝐻𝐻𝐿𝐄𝐹, with 𝐻𝐻𝐿𝐄𝐹𝑜s, yut 𝐻𝐻𝐿𝐄𝑎𝑡s, with 𝐻𝐻𝐿𝐄𝑎𝑚, yus 𝐻𝐻𝐿𝐄𝑖𝑡, is ios ia 𝐻𝐻𝐿𝐄𝑎𝑛t. Now here are the personal pronouns for the nominative case, the accusative case, and the dative case. Now we have learned the nominative case and the accusative case in our previous lesson. So the first two columns here are here for references. We shall learn the third column, which is the dative case, which is the case we need when using the verb 𝐻𝐿𝐄𝐹𝐵𝐵𝐵. So the dative case of ik is mis, thu is thus, with, unkis, yut, increase, with, uns or unsis, yus, isis, is, ima, si, ise, ita, ima, is, im, ios, im, ia, im. Now something to notice, something to remark on, is that for the first and second person in the dual and the plural, or with, yut, with, and use, its accusative case and dative case are the same. So unkis, unkis, increase, increase, uns or unsis, isis, isis. Now here are some sentences for you to translate now that we have learned the conjugation of the verb 𝐻𝐿𝐄𝐹𝐵𝐵𝐵 and the personal pronouns in the dative cases. And here are the answers. So for the first sentence, I bid you farewell, or I say goodbye to you. 𝐻𝐿𝐄𝐹𝐵𝐵𝐵, increase. You bid us farewell. 𝐻𝐻𝐿𝐄𝐹, unkis, or yut 𝐻𝐻𝐿𝐄𝐹, 𝑍𝑿𝑄𝑰𝑃. Now, the reason I put the personal pronoun 𝑦𝑡 in the bracket, despite the fact that personal pronouns are not necessary in the Gothic language if accompanied by a verb which already shows the conjugation and showing which personal pronoun the verb is talking about. The reason for that is because the form 𝐻𝐿𝐄𝐹𝐺, apart from being the form of 𝑦𝑡, second person plural, can also be the form of the third person singular. So apart from meaning you plural, greet, or to bid farewell, 𝐻𝐿𝐄𝐹𝐺 can also mean he, she, it greets. So for the third sentence, we bid him farewell, 𝐻𝐿𝐄𝐹𝐺. Fourth sentence, she bids me farewell, 𝐶 𝐻𝐿𝐄𝐹𝐺. So again, C is in the bracket to show that the form 𝐻𝐿𝐄𝐹𝐺 is talking about the third person singular instead of the second person plural. We bid them farewell, 𝐻𝐿𝐄𝐹𝐺. Now, for the personal pronoun 𝑚, there's no need to specify whether the 𝑚, or translated into English, them, is referring to a group of males, a group of females, or a group of mixed male and females. Because if you've remembered from our last slide on the personal pronouns in the dative case, 𝑚 refers to all the genders. So there's no distinction for the third person plural in the dative case in regards to gender. They're all 𝑚. Now, the verb 𝐻𝐿𝐄𝐹𝐺 is derived from its root word 𝐿𝐄𝐹𝐺, meaning to say. And they are all conjugated the same because they have the same root word. And here are some other words which are derived from the word 𝐿𝐄𝐹𝐺 in addition to 𝐻𝐿𝐄𝐹𝐺. And of course, since they have the same root word, they are all conjugated in the same way. So first we have 𝐻𝐿𝐄𝐹𝐺, meaning to denounce, to censor, to slander. 𝐻𝐿𝐄𝐹𝐺, we've just learned, to greet, to bid farewell. 𝐻𝐿𝐄𝐹𝐺, meaning to denounce, to forsake. 𝐻𝐿𝐄𝐹𝐺, meaning to agree, to concur. 𝐻𝐿𝐄𝐹𝐺, to be in conformity, basically agreeing with each other. 𝐼𝐻𝐿𝐄𝐹𝐺, to spread the word, to proclaim, to report widely. Now, the prefix for this word 𝐼𝐻𝐿𝐄𝐹𝐺, 𝐼𝐻 itself can be a preposition, and it is a cognate of the German aus and the Dutch out. So you get the idea why 𝐼𝐻, meaning out, when combined with 𝐄𝐹𝐺 would give the signification of spreading the word, proclaiming something publicly, widely. You get the idea. 𝐻𝐿𝐄𝐹𝐺, to prophecy, to say beforehand, to foretell. 𝐻𝐿𝐄𝐹𝐺, to excuse, to make void, to nullify. And at last, 𝐻𝐿𝐄𝐹𝐺, to declare invalid, to reject, or to curse. And from the word 𝐿𝐄𝐹𝐺, we can also derive its noun counterpart, which is quiz. Now, quiz itself is a word that is undocumented, so it is a reconstruction. But all the words we have down here using quiz as its root word these are documented, so it makes sense that the word quiz itself, despite not being documented, also existed. So first we have anarchis, which is basically the noun of anarchisan we've just learned, and it means blasphemy or slander. Gakris, concurrence or agreement, basically the noun form of gakrisan. Theosikris, meaning blessing. Uskris, accusation or incrimination. Now this is an interesting case because, as we've just seen, uskrisan itself means proclaiming widely, to declaring publicly. But when it's turned into a noun, uskris, it has a completely different meaning. So where the uskris itself can mean the action of declaring widely, or where the uskrisan itself can also mean to accuse or to incriminate, this is unknown. So yeah, that's how it is. Then we have samakris, which means agreement, misakris, a dispute, and 𝐻𝑰𝑙𝑎kris, meaning blessing. Now we also have an adjective which is derived from the word, or etymologically related to the word kris and its verb counterpart krisan, and that word is 𝑌𝑁𝑰𝑹𝑺, meaning unspeakable or unsayable. Now the prefix un is basically the English un, so whether a verb without its prefix 𝑰𝑺 also existed is also worth pondering upon, since although the word 𝑰𝑁𝑰𝑹 is not documented, 𝑌𝑁𝑰𝑹 is, and hence a word 𝑰𝑁𝑰𝑹 could have existed, with its meaning being speakable, something that can be said. Another word which is etymologically related to the words krisan and kris is 𝑘ρανον, meaning to cry, to whine, wail, lament, weep, or mourn. And here are the conjugations. 𝑘ρανό, I cry. 𝑘ρανός, you cry. 𝑘ρανός, he, she, it cries. 𝑘ρανός, we, two people cry. 𝑘ρανός, you two cry. 𝑘ρανόν, we cry. 𝑘ρανός, you plural cry. 𝑘ρανόν, they cry. Now we have just learned from looking at the words derived from the word quiz, the word theosikris, meaning blessing. So since we've looked at this word, let's look at more words which are etymologically related to theosikris. First we have theosian, meaning to bless, gatheosian, also meaning to bless. If you have remembered when we were talking about the prefix ga in our last lesson, you would know that the prefix ga gives the verb a meaning of perfection, so a signification of the action being done. So gatheosian is basically theosian, but in this perfective form. Then we have 𝑌𝑁𝑰𝑹𝑺, meaning to curse, or in other words, etymologically speaking, to unbless. We also have theosikes, an adjective meaning blessed. Theos, a neuter noun meaning good thing or boon. Theothenes, a feminine noun meaning blessing. 𝑽𝑁𝑰𝑹𝑺, a neuter noun meaning evil. And theospilon, meaning to evangelize, to bring good tidings, to announce good news. Now the verb 𝑐𝑢𝑠 is also conjugated the same way as 𝑐𝑟𝑒𝑛𝑜𝑛, so they have the same conjugated endings when conjugated in the present tense. Now another verb that, just like the verb 𝑎𝑛 a verb that uses the dative case afterwards. This verb is 𝑎𝑤𝑖𝑙𝑖𝑢𝑑on, meaning to thank, and it is also conjugated the same as 𝑐𝑟𝑒𝑛𝑜𝑛. So 𝑎𝑤𝑖𝑙𝑖𝑢𝑑o, I thank, 𝑎𝑤𝑖𝑙𝑖𝑢𝑑os, you thank, 𝑎𝑤𝑖𝑙𝑖𝑢𝑑os, he, she, it thanks, 𝑎𝑤𝑖𝑙𝑖𝑢𝑑os, we too thank, 𝑎𝑤𝑖𝑙𝑖𝑢𝑑ots, you too thank, 𝑎𝑤𝑖𝑙𝑖𝑢𝑑on, we thank, 𝑎𝑤𝑖𝑙𝑖𝑢𝑑os, you thank, 𝑑uo, and 𝑎𝑤𝑖𝑙𝑖𝑢𝑑on, they thank. So for example, to say thank you to someone, if we're saying it to one person, we'd say 𝑎𝑤𝑖𝑙𝑖𝑢𝑑o. To two people, we'd say 𝑎𝑤𝑖𝑙𝑖𝑢𝑑o increase. To three or more people, 𝑎𝑤𝑖𝑙𝑖𝑢𝑑o 𝑖𝑧𝑢𝑖s. Literally translating to I thank thee, I thank you, and I thank you. This is the way of saying thank you. Now below is a sentence. We can try translating a more complicated sentence. We have learned all the words and there's conjugation required to translate the sentence. So give it a try. Here is the answer. 𝐼𝑎𝑘𝑤𝑖𝑠𝑎𝑛𝑡 𝑢𝑛𝑘𝑖𝑠 increase. So they say, they being mixed males and females, we're using the neuter version. 𝐼𝑎𝑘𝑤𝑖𝑠𝑎𝑛𝑡, they say. They say to us, 𝐼𝑎𝑘𝑤𝑖𝑠𝑎𝑛𝑡 they say thank you to us. So for the form thank you, since they saying thank you to us, they would say we thank you. You being 𝑗u𝑥. So the thank you that they'd be saying would be 𝑎𝑤𝑖𝑙𝑖𝑢𝑑on increase. Literally, we thank you. So they say to us, 𝐼𝑎𝑘𝑤𝑖𝑠𝑎𝑛𝑡 they say thank you to us, 𝐼𝑎𝑘𝑤𝑖𝑠𝑎𝑛𝑡 𝑎𝑤𝑖𝑙𝑖𝑢𝑑on increase. This is another word which is commonly used with the word 𝑘𝑤𝑖𝑠𝑎𝑛, meaning to say. This word is 𝑠ati. It means that. But that, not as in that house, that cat, not that. That as in a conjunction. So I think that something something, I say that something something, she feels that something something, that kind of that. So for example, 𝑘𝑤𝑖𝑠𝑎 𝑠ati health im. I say that I am healthy. Or if you're a woman, 𝑘𝑤𝑖𝑠𝑎 𝑠ati hela im, because health is in the masculine form. 𝑘𝑤𝑖𝑠𝑎nt 𝑠ati si 𝑎𝑤𝑖𝑙𝑖𝑢𝑑os sus. They say that she thanks you. And again, the personal pronoun si is added here. Technically, relying on context, if we just say 𝑘𝑤𝑖𝑠𝑎nt 𝑠ati 𝑎𝑤𝑖𝑙𝑖𝑢𝑑os sus, we can also understand the meaning. But just grammatically speaking, if we omit the personal pronoun si, the form 𝑎𝑤𝑖𝑙𝑖𝑢𝑑os, apart from meaning she thanks, can also mean you thorough thank. So again, the verb forms in the third person singular and the second person plural are often the same. So whether the personal pronoun should be omitted or not heavily relies on context. The third example, 𝐻𝑌𝑰𝑋 is. He says that you are blessed. Now, this is another interesting case. For there are two is in this sentence. The first is means he, and the is at the end of the sentence means you are. So is at the beginning is the third person singular nominative pronoun, and is at the end is the second person singular present tense of the verb 𝑉𝐹, meaning to be. So 𝐻𝑌𝑰𝑋, he says, what does he say? You are blessed. You are blessed can be translated into 𝑥 is 𝑥. So that you are blessed, 𝑥 is. 𝐻𝑌𝑰𝑋 𝑥 is. He says that you are blessed. And this is the end of our lesson. 𝐻𝑍𝑿𝑄𝑰𝑃. CS Bella. I will see you soon with lesson 3. 𝐻𝑍𝑿𝑄𝑰𝑃.